Welcome back to Why the Big Secret Podcast. I'm your host, Roderick Martin. In this episode, we're going to have two segments, and one in particular is going to be about the Black Triangle and how it's now resurfacing, and people in California are seeing it very often. But here's the kicker. It has changed, and I think the function of it is going to surprise you. So definitely listen to segment one. Our main caveat tonight is about a professor, and he is talking about extraterrestrials. And this guy is saying, Professor David, and you definitely want to get the details, that extraterrestrials or aliens are here. They walk among us, and they're also abducting humans for a specific reason. You don't want to miss it, because any one of us right now should be thinking about some of the things that you're going to hear about in the next episode or the second section of this particular podcast. If you find value in any of these podcasts or the YouTube channel and you'd like to show your support, I am having a Truth Seeker membership, which is about $5 or 16 cents a day, that you can participate in and help me build this channel and also increase our speakers and people that we're going to bring on to increase our knowledge in the community. There will be a link in the podcast description so that you can go over to our membership and subscribe. $5 a month, 16 cents a day. Also, if you want to go over to YouTube and watch this live, you can then hit the link in the description. All I want to know, if you do value, just hit the thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that. Hit those notification bells so that you don't miss when we go live and when I upload. Enjoy the podcast. So again, let's talk about the triangle. So again, the stories had, and Nick, what did you think about that triangle? You're saying you saw one. Well, kind of give us a little description. I'll bring it up on the screen. But in the meantime, they're still saying on one hand of the fence that this is our technology. It's a secret spy plane. On this side, there's people saying it's extraterrestrial in origin. In the middle, though, there's always these rumors that this is one of the particular planes that will be used if there was some false flag type information, especially in the Phoenix Lights, or I don't know if the Phoenix Lights, there was one other incident that they saw a huge triangle, and this thing was big. Now, according to some of the things that I found through research, there are 3 different sizes to these triangles. So they have a huge one, smaller one, and smaller ones. And so though that's probably, again, our military version. But the question is, why the big secret? Why are they now flying these things around? Now, you only see them at night, and it makes sense. But if you got lights on them, what difference does it make, right? But then, 2, why not show this thing at night? Why not let people think that it's extraterrestrial in origin? Because that's the best way they're going to cover it up. All they can say, oh, y'all thought y'all saw a UFO, and not really military secrets. But then again, that still goes back to the question, why the big secret? Why are they hiding some of these things? Or what's behind these sporadic showings to the public, knowing they're going to be perceived as UFOs? And so if anyone think about that, just say JoJo here says there's some reverse tech. So that's one of the things that he's saying as far as what you mean, like reverse engineering. I wouldn't say that for him, at least, but I think the main part is just kind of they are building this from reverse. Yes. Okay. I agree with you. Reverse technology of things that we have found. I'm thinking something else, but you are so correct when it comes down to that, because it is technology that we've already had and pretty much. And again, if you listen to us in Clubhouse, there's a link at the top of the screen. I don't have my phone in front of me, so I just have it open for the stream audio. If you're listening, definitely. So we're going to get to our primary story here in a few moments, and we're going to talk about that throughout the show. And it's really serious. I think this professor is saying that aliens are here abducting people, and they're here. They're walking among us. And so we're going to get to that in a minute. And he makes some startling claims that I think that all of us should, pay a close attention to. And like I said, at the bottom of the hour, we'll get into that story as well. But back into what I'm saying with these triangles. Another part is there was another pilot, or someone says they noticed the object in the skies, and they were saying it was moving real slow, like I mentioned earlier. So we know that a lot of our fighter planes is not going to move relatively slow because they are jet fighters. So for something to move and cruising across, and once again, I'll show you a picture of a triangle. And this is what people are seeing. Now, in some cases, once again, we get reports that there are a center in the middle is transparent. In this case, what did this look like? An orb, right? It looks like a orange fireball. So imagine that same plane. Just think about this for a moment. This is where we get into the why, the big secret, and like I've always told you all the time, your eyes are useless when your mind is blind. It's time to think why. So when we get into the why, we get into the curiosity, and we get to ask questions. We get to go beyond the narrative and begin to think into some other parallels. So for example, I'm gonna go back to this picture. Take a look at the picture and tell me what you think. Imagine seeing this same thing in the sky, but those white lights turn off. So it's completely dark, but you see an orb, an orange orb. Could this be a double whammy of what they're doing and how they're trying to predict this phenomenon that all of a sudden you can turn it to an orb if you wanted to, and they can turn the lights off, and now this thing is a triangle that people are seeing. So what happens with that? Yes, right, Renee. And that's one of the things I was saying. It has an orb in the center. That really tells me that, man, we got a lot of things happening. Now, don't get me wrong. We do have, a lot of reports of orb. We did a story last night with David, who actually saw it. If you didn't watch the video, you got to see it. This guy gave his testimonial in Minnesota about an orb that he saw and how it affected his life. And we go into a lot of detail in that conversation. I think it's one of the better interviews we've had in a long time. But then also reached some people on an emotional level. It did me. So I encourage you to check that out. But back to what I'm saying is, could this be a multi-purpose UFO type thing that the government is trying to use to push the narrative of things that's happening? Just for thought. And if anyone else think about it in that way, hit me in the chat down here and for there as well. I love it. Super sticker from Mickey. Lap dance for you. Very quick though, because I can do it quick. I appreciate it. Oh my God, I appreciate it. The super sticker, Mickey. And it was $5, and $5 in this world goes a long way. All right, I appreciate it. So here's the thing though. I think it's really for us to really look at, and I'm gonna tie it into our primary story shortly, though. I'm gonna tie it into the primary story, and we're gonna be doing that. And it's just one of those things. Now, for those of you who are part of our our membership, our truth seekers, there's going to be some private videos that I have, some interviews I just did with some people from the Navy. And one of the guys just said, hey, man, I don't want you to plaster that all over YouTube. I did it yesterday. But he did say I can serve it to my private audience, which will be you guys who are part of the Truth Seekers members. And so once I get it finished and edited, you'll get a link or email, but it'll be on YouTube, but it's private, so nobody can see it unless you have the link. I encourage you not to share it. It's just for you. And those are some of the benefits there. But again, and some of you who have contributed through that as well, and some of the super chats, if you send me your email, some of you will get some of these links. But there will be a lot of them that will be definitely going through there. And if you want to be a part of that, you definitely can. And that is on the screen now. So if you want to be, and it's in the link of this video, so you can definitely go down and post that link. Another thing that when it came down to this story about the black triangle, we're still there. And like I said, in a minute, we will shift to the main story at the bottom of the hour. And by that time, if you got some other people, they need to be here in this room. But again, this guy is the former Navy serviceman, Angelo Aceta. Now, he told UFO researcher Ryan Sprague with the debrief, if y'all have heard of him, that he saw the unexplained plane several times. Now, he saw this early on between 2011 and 2012, but here's the deal. This is 2022. So you know the technology is greater. And back then we did not see pictures with orbs. It's almost like they are moving this thing into our conversations of what we're seeing. And it's okay, the orbs are actually existing, but we're going to create our own phantom orb. And that way we can still kind of kill the stories. Because one of the things that I found out as a UFO investigator at one point was that when you talk about Hollywood and the way they would do movies and the way they will show some of the stuff that's happening out there, that was the same thing that was going on, was that it was intentional. And what they would do is make a movie on truth of some of the things that is happening in the space, but only if it actually surfaced, then people will say, wow, okay, it was just in the movie. That couldn't have been true. That could not have been. So once again, this orb thing that I think is an added element to the black triangle makes it very, very interesting when it comes to that. And I think that's something that we really need to pay attention to from there. There are some people in the chat saying that the U.S. military patent that they found God particle and they built a starcraft around it and said to be the very fabric of reality. I have not got a lot of information on that story, Renee. I think it's interesting, though. I've heard about the God particle and how that is in existence somewhere. But again, I have not did any research on it. But definitely, if you are I don't know, but I think if you're not part of our Truth Seeker members, that $5 part is for our researchers, and that's what we're going to be doing collectively, finding things, researching together behind the scenes there. So that is something interesting. So I would love for you to be a part of that, and we can all share some of that information. All right, so again, the guy talks about it. So let's ask the question for all of you. What would you think, even yourself, if you were driving and you saw this black triangle? Now, of course, you're hearing rumors that it could be a military spy plane or it could be a true UFO. How would you address this? Would you really, truly, look at it as a phenomenon and hopefully not be afraid of it? But what would you do? Would you just stare up there and go, oh, that's that black triangle? Or, oh, shit, sugar, honey, iced tea, there's a UFO possible. But again, take a look at the pictures as we get ready to move out the story and get ready to get into our main story. And that, again, that is a twofer, is what I want to call it, a twofer. It has the white triangles, the triangle with the lights that we hear about all the time, and the fireball orb type symbol in the middle, which I think they can turn the lights off, and now you see, if it's complete dark, you're just going to see the orb, and you're not going to see the rest of that craft floating around. And I'm thinking that is something that they're doing to really prepare people to say, okay, nah, y'all don't see these orbs, which we are seeing them like crazy. And they're saying, that's not happening, but it is really, truly happening. So that's another part of that cover-up. And this is why we asked the question, what's the big secret? What are they really hiding from us? And like I said, we got to go past the narrative. You can't just say they're just hiding the spy plane because we see it and they're going to let us run with that. But let's go behind that. Why is this thing created? Okay. And if it is a spy, still, what the hell, why turn the lights on? Why want people to see it anyway? It don't have to fly with lights. I'm sure Nick is in the military and he knows that we got night vision. We got night radar. We can fly in complete darkness if we wanted to. So they're purposely wanting us to see it. But why? Why do they want us to see it? What's the storyline? And I don't have the answer. And I hope our community as truth seekers that we can dig a little deeper and find out exactly what is happening when it comes to that. And that's something I think that's what we need to really be looking at, y'all, from there. And so we're going to do that. So here's the deal. I'm going to get ready to move us into our main story for tonight, which I think we can talk about this for a while because it has some really a lot of parallels and places that we can go with this thing. And that's something that I really want us to pay attention to from there. So with that being said, if you have been paying attention, and if you hear right now, we're going to move into our main story. If you're on Clubhouse, you can click the link at the top. It'll bring you over to YouTube Live. I do have a sort of a face for radio or in a little face for TV. And if you get that, by the time you get off this thing, you'll go, oh, I know what he's talking about. But I'm a hybrid when it comes down to that part. So definitely come over. And again, if you have been here and you're watching, smash the freaking like button. If you not and you have not, please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get this thing going as we are building our support here. And another thing that I'm going to be doing, I don't know how to set the survey yet or polls. And I'll figure it out pretty soon. But I am looking for some moderators who will be the moderators in these chats that I think you can set that up from a YouTube side. And we would do that because I can't. One of the chats we had last time had 600 and something chats, and it was impossible to monitor those. We did a couple of spams, though, and people caught that, and we would do that. All right. So as we get ready to transition into our main story, I'm going to set it up for you right now, and we'll do that. So, all right, it's that time that we're going to get into the main story, and I just want to shift the energy of that to let you know it's deep. It's really deep, and that's what the music's for. It's for to let you know this guy is saying, a professor, and not just anybody. This is not Joe Blow, Roll Blow, Green Blow. This is Professor Flow that's saying there is extraterrestrials walking among us. They're walking among us on a daily basis with a D, and they are abducting people from Earth. Now, he used the word from Earth, which I got to thinking, okay, why would we say from Earth unless they're taking them off the planet going somewhere else? And that there concerns me a lot. So I think as we get into this information and we start thinking about what is truly happening, and if you remember, we talked about this on an early video earlier this, probably last month or so, about the release. Y'all remember that? That the government starts saying that people are saying they're getting brain damage, radiation burns, loss of time, and what else what they're saying? Unaccounted for pregnancies was happening. So all of this started to go, wait a minute, what the hell is happening? We heard David yesterday saying he had some emotional and some feeling from that encounter, which coincided with what people were reporting. So definitely his story is valid. But why are we getting these particular stories that's coming more and more frequently when there was a time that people would lose their jobs, their careers, their families, their friends, their inner circles, their banking accounts, just for coming forward, making a speculation that we're not alone from the universe, in our universe, and then there's people walking among us, and at the same time. Now, I'm going to give you a wider big secret moment here that people always ask me, Roderick, what do they look like? And one of the things that I always just kind of, and with my humor, of course, would say, what if we look like them? I don't know, man. This thing is very interesting, and I really love the field of work I'm in. In fact, I was talking to a person the other day who said, what do you do for a living? And I met this person at a restaurant, and I was talking to, and the person, I kind of told them what I was doing for a career. And they said, God damn, I bet that's fun. I bet you have so much fun going to work every day. And I thought about it, and I said, I should be. I should be. So we're going to approach it a little different and from there. So let's do that. And all right. So the professor is saying that we have extraterrestrials abducting people on a daily basis. Now, if you're in Clubhouse, I got an image up right now, somebody being abducted by an extraterrestrial spacecraft and how they're beaming up, Scotty. So if you want to hit that, you can go to the button at the top, the pinned link in the Clubhouse app, and it'll bring you over to YouTube. But please, if you enter that door of YouTube, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you find value in this. And if you're in Clubhouse, you can go ahead and share this room. But you see the image there, y'all. This person is being abducted, is what he's saying is happening all the time, okay? And the professor's name is Dr. David Jacobs, and he's professor of the history at Temple University in Pennsylvania, specializes in Nothing more than ufology, okay? And so he's written several books on alien abduction, but now he's coming out. And I don't think he's doing this so he can go sell more books. The guy is not making this stuff up because it is happening. We know it's happening. But one of the things that he's saying, though, and he was speaking speaking on an extra ordinary. He's at the revelations of Dr. Jacobs is what he claimed. But he said that they've been around for quite some time. And one of the things he said that we have spread around the world and conquered as much as we can. We don't know whether it's true or the other beings or not, but it certainly is true of what humans have done. And what he mean by that is, I don't know. And I was trying to rack my brain to get into why would he make this claim that we're spread around the world and have conquered as much as we can, and we don't know whether this is true or other beings or not, but it's certainly true what humans have done. And basically he's coming back into saying, and prior to that, to bridge this together, he was saying not only alien hybrids are walking among us, and this is why he made this statement, they're also abducting humans and utilizing mind control powers to prepare for a mass takeover, apparently. And I didn't want to lead with that because I'm not here to spark any type of hysteria or false flags or anything else, but this is his opinion that this is happening. And when you hear that from a professor or someone who has a prestigious career and have written many books, now, of course, we got to go deeper into his resources, his make sure there's a lot of truth in the claims that he's saying. But that's the reason why I put it in reverse. So if you put it together, he's saying that alien hybrids walking among us, they're abducting humans, utilizing mind control powers to prepare for a mass takeover, apparently. And he goes back and say, we don't know whether, we have spread around the world and conquered as much as we can. And I don't know if they're saying that we have reached our limit as humans. But my best guess is this is a guess, and this is what he's talking about. So let's get into that for a minute. You know, we've all heard the stories of what is happening out here. We had the reports. So we're not going to say that what he's saying is far-fetched, because we all know that the government themselves in the last few months, from all the other projects that was out there, have released information that people have been abducted. And we can go all the way back to the beginning of time in 1941 when Barney and Betty Hill abduction in 1961. I'm corrected. And this was a chilling story, validated story. So we understand that this has been going on for quite some time. So let's not sit here and say, oh, this is strange news or stranger things. It's just getting more documented every day. And that's one of the things that I think is really important for us to look into. And again, we want to ask the question, why? If they are abducting us, why? Why are they abducting us? You know, now, do we tie it into the part of the story where they're saying that unexplained pregnancies is probably one of the deals? Hybrids. I've had Barbara Lamb on with us, and I'm probably get her back on here. She does live streams, and she talks about hybrids everywhere. We talked about people that have been in our clubhouse rooms that have been part of hybrid programs. So we don't think that's not a far-fetched scenario that people are being impregnated by extraterrestrials and what's going on. But the other part is the abduction side. Now, I'm not going to show you none of the images of cattle mutilations, and we know that's one of the main phenomena of secrecy that they don't talk about of these. And let me tell you this: I'd rather for them to be abducting those cows and studying them than actually abducting people. But obviously, that is not the note for all extraterrestrials. Some are still saying, hey, you know what, we need some humans for whatever reason. And that's just for us to speculate. But if that is happening, why is it a secret? Why would the government not tell anybody, the big secret keepers? Why wouldn't they forewarn people that the possibility of this is out here? Yeah, okay, we can find out if there's a child molester in our neighborhood. We can find out if there's a rapist or burglar or, people that's ex-cons when they go applying for jobs. They label everything else. What's the reason not warning us that there is something out there that could be abducting people? Now, I don't think it'll take us into mass, hysteria, because people won't. It's just going to go by their day. they're just going to try to avoid situations to be abducted. So like walking down those dark alleys and you hear the can clink, 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 and then you go and the cat sound, and then all of a sudden you want to walk down there. So, who's going to do that, right? Not me, said the cat. But at the end of the day, why is it a big secret? And they are linking and leaking some of this information at the same time for that. But could we be under any kind of surveillance or some situation to being studied for some whatever reason? I don't know. But the guy said, as I show you this picture, they walk among us. The extraterrestrials walk among us. They're every day. And that's why I went back to the question when someone asked me, what do they look like? And so, yeah, all right, I just showed you a picture of some gray aliens. I got one right up above my head. But that may not be what they truly look like. We know there are so many species, from the Palladians and stars and all these people that look almost human, beautiful colors and all these things. But what if we are out here and they are crossbreeding and we get something that we just really can't, and that's a serious thing. We're talking that I don't know. I don't know how to look at it from that point. But one more time. And one more time for you there. So if you're on Clubhouse, you can kind of see that. And I just posted a picture of a woman from there. But at the end of the day, what's the questions is, and we're going to get into phase 2 of this in a few seconds here. Yeah, we there's a lot of famous abductions that have been happening. And I think that if we really truly want to look into this. Now, Dr. Jacobs, he also has claimed that he's had encounters with human-like beings on board their UFOs. And he's saying they look like humans. They are advancing in such a way with what they're doing is that they're looking like humans. And there's other people down here saying, yeah, we got the Mantis, we got the Nordics, we got all those looks. But he's saying that they're looking like humans. So could we identify that? Now we've had Canadian awareness here, Anthony, my boy out of Canada, and he's a reptilian channeler. And one of the things he specifically told me is we can't handle that truth. We cannot handle if one of those reptilians become into our density or where we can lower their vibration, where we could see them. And it's terrifying. People just can't handle it. And so therefore, that's a whole different story. So why wouldn't they make a plan to say, hey, let's try to crossbreed so we can live among this great planet, and we'll crossbreed with some of these humans. And then eventually, like Mary Edwards was talking about, if y'all remember her in Clubhouse, she said that she had 10 or 15 children that she was hybrids of, or she's had. Some are living on spacecraft because they cannot pass for human. So they're selectively saying, if you can pass for human, you can live among these people and at the same time. So now this is what this guy's claiming. And so therefore, and that was a movie came out in the past. I don't know if y'all remember, if you're old enough to remember, V. It was a movie called V, and of course the V for victory. And it was about a alien race that came to Earth. And initially they came in peace, but they looked just like us until somebody discovered underneath the skin or something they were like reptilians or something. And it's a whole show. It was like a whole series of shows. But at the end of this whole series, not to be a spoiler alert, but they actually did successfully crossbreed with humans. Now this thing came out 20, 30 years ago. They was projecting this type of stuff in the movies or on Prime TV. This was Prime TV 30, 40, 30 years back. So this is not something that, the mainstream hadn't been talking about, but it's from there. So I think that's something else that we need to closely pay attention to. So, what would you do? What would you do now? And how you feel about that right now, that this is happening in real time? It's you get paper out the paper that's reporting some type of extraterrestrial encounter, more and more people are coming forward with their stories, which at a time when they used to come up with their stories, they were ridiculed and people didn't believe them because there just wasn't no validation to what they were dealing with as well as anything else that they was going through. But now we got all of this other information that is now public. And for those of you who did not know, if you did not know, you work in the United States and you go to work every day. And anybody who's going to work tomorrow, or you get your paycheck and it say that's child support. I know that one. I remember that one. But the other one, the taxes and all of that, deductions, that is for money going to the government, and the Congress has already voted that we have a official UFO office. Yeah, one that you can go knock on the door and somebody will open up and say, come on in, what do you want? I want to report a UFO. That's how serious they're taking this. So therefore, your money is paying for it. You're in on it. And this is where it gets a little kind of tricky, because now it doesn't mean that they're validating all of the past stories that they've heard, that people has been abducted, that they ridicule, call crazy, cuckoo, and all those things, or they're really just there. But they do walk the borderline just a little bit, just won't say that extraterrestrials are real. Then you got all these other congressmen like Burchett and everyone else who's coming saying we're being bamboozled. Now, he's a senator. We're being bamboozled. So where I'm going with this whole thing is, how do you feel about that now, knowing that whether you believe in UFOs or not, we're taking it real enough and they're paying for it with our everyday money and hard taxes and everything else. So it's no more crackpot stuff. These people are serious. The Navy, you got NASA recently saying we in on the game. We have all of these people, and it's to a point that why don't we take it serious as a community and public? We still got people right to this day who will tell you from a religious factor, where you're nuts, this is not happening, go read your Bible, this is not here. And so I don't even want to go that level deep, and we're going to have a show. And in fact, I have a pastor, a true pastor that's coming to be interviewed, and he actually teach his disciples about extraterrestrials, and he's Christian. So that is going to be something to really make sure you guys don't miss, and definitely don't do that. And then also this Thursday, Maria will be back. She is a true ghost hunter, and she's actually just finished filming a TV show, and we're going to again be trying to find that link between ufology, UFOs, and ghost and paranormal. Is there a link? We already just hit the point that she said that she analyzes certain things and there's radiation. And so we know in ufology, that's the first thing they have us to check for if there's a landing or something, is radiation. Is there a link between that? We're going to keep pushing it. We're going to find out. But anyway, back to this story. When it comes down to these aliens abducting people, and it's getting more serious. And the question that I asked again was, why is the government not telling us? Why are they not warning people that there's a possibility out there? And if it is happening, for what reason? Why is this happening? So if you're in Clubhouse and you want to get in on a conversation here, hit the link at the top of the screen there and jump on into the conversation from YouTube. Price of admission is just hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you can. That's all I ask for, if you find value in what we're doing. But again, why are they abducting us? Why? And I'm using the word us because it could be me next. I could be walking out of here because I done just really said some stuff that somebody may not like, and next thing you know, beam me up, Scotty. I'm part of this kind of situation. I don't know, I'm a big guy though, so they got to come out with 2 beams and 2 ships and bring me on up there. But hey, they may got the technology from there. So question to the audience, what would you do? What would you do if you can get in on this conversation? If you spotted the light coming down the road, it's in the sky, it's slowing down, are you going to stop your car? Are you going to turn around and try to outrun it? Or you're going to just let yourself be taken if they're saying, hey, or do you think it's going to be a peaceful experience? And would you go peacefully if you had options? How about that? if you had options to be taken on a ride with a spacecraft, would you go? Not knowing if you're coming back or whatever. And okay, they may tell you I come in peace. Somebody post in the comments here on YouTube and give me your honest answer. Would you go if you I'm not using the word opportunity, if they just beamed down and said, they probably wouldn't even say nothing and probably wouldn't even ask you your choice. But how would you feel about being abducted? And now keep in mind, a lot of these abduction stories have reported anal probes. Yep. Let me say that again. Anal probes, being stuck with needles, eyes pent back, all of the things that don't feel good, but also being whispered, oh, don't worry, we're going to let you go soon, at the same breath, okay? Or telepathy is how they've been using it. So would that be something that you would do? We're going to move in another part of that. All right. Now, let me give y'all a backstory here. This guy, Nick, who is part of our just internal group, he said, I would go in a heartbeat unless there were any signs of aggression. Now, let me tell y'all something. If you're on YouTube, you're going to see Nick in uniform. Nick is a, swimming duck, Navy SEAL type guy, highly sophisticated, trained in hand-to-hand combat, multiple weapon use, all. Of course, he got to go. We talk about somebody who don't even know how to box or swing, ain't never had a fight in their life. Would they go? Nick, you gonna go. Hey, yeah, because you go get in there. It's gonna be on some swimming ducks and Navy SEAL stuff. But I'm talking somebody, all right, because they ain't gonna let me take my pistol, and they're not gonna let me do that. But I understand it. Nick said he'll go. So anyone else will go. That's fine. Take Nick with you. But he did say unless they showed some sign of aggression. So he did give a disclaimer there that he wouldn't hop in on that deal. But again, let's go back to some facts here. This has been happening a long time. And what this also Dr. Jacobs is saying, that there is some type of plan. Now, I'm about to shock you about what I'm about to say here. When he's saying an agenda, this is his opinion. I'm only stating what I've dug up from digging more deep into his story of what he's saying. And he's saying that what was describing was the ones on board who really looked really human. He said that he went up on a ship. That's what he's saying. He was able to see what was going on, all right? And they showed him some of the other human hybrids, okay? He said a really, really, really human was coming down, was trying to learn what it was like to walk among us, to be human. He's saying they're trying to do this. They're trying to learn. I don't get it. What is it like to be human? And he's saying that they was doing it. But he also said that they are superhumans. I'm like, what? And that's what he's saying. He's saying this. And let me reiterate what I'm about to say. 20 years ago, if this had came out in a newspaper, which it is in one of the big papers, this guy would have been just stoned damn near, right? 15, 30, 40 years, they would have just put him under not just one straitjacket that goes behind, they would have put another one on the front just to make sure that he's locked up crazy. Ain't nobody bothering this dude. Ain't nobody contradicting what he's saying, and he's able to print in books, and now he's telling a story that they walk among us. That's not probably nothing new. But the fact that there is a program going on, and the fact that we are the, whatever they want to call it, the experiment, that makes me quiver a little bit, because the government's not saying nothing. Why the big secret? Why are they allowing us to be part of these experiments and no one is saying a darn word? And that is something that we'll take a quick little second break here for me to, again, let me see at the top of the hour here. Yeah, and so that's something that we really need to go deeper into, and I'm going to go into another phase of this in just a few seconds. And we're going to go into, how they contact people in their dreams and all of that. And so what's the need for abduction if they can just come into our mind while we sleep? we'll get into that in just a few moments. In the meantime, I just want to sow the slide again to thank those people who are part of our Truth Seeker members. As you can see, we added a new name, Jay Muhammad, from yesterday. So that means we grew a one member from yesterday. And if you want to be part of that and and support the team, the crew, and what we're doing, we have a $5 membership, and $3 we have $5, and you can be part of our research crew. And it's about 16 cents a day, and that helps support the channel and what we're doing as we grow into this community to provide stuff for you as in the information from there. And then we are going to have some other stuff that we're going to get into. So let me take a sip of this, and we'll get into the other part of the dreams. And then I may probably bring a couple of our collected people up in the clubhouse side so you can hear some of them, and they bring it up in a minute. So here we go. So I just had my water from I Want to Believe, and that's one of the deals there. Now, another part of the story, as I show a picture here, is the fact that they say that we can be contacted via our dreams. And there's a lot of people who have said that they have been. They've seen them. And so it makes me wonder the parallels between that, and why would an extraterrestrial even waste the time of abducting us when they got the power just to come into our consciousness and truly communicate with us? Why would they do that? Now, I can bring some people up in here, and people can come in a little bit and just give you all kind of stories of the peace side of things. And that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying to fear or worry. I'm just saying the chosen path that they choose, if they can do all of that, then there's no need to abduct anyone. There's no need to try to feel what it's like to be human when they can just go into my mind and find out what it's like to be broke some days. I don't know. I'm just saying that in a more of a phase that it's all here. It's all in the mind. So why would you even have to go take the experience of doing that? And so that goes back to what we do know, that there's so many types of ways that they make contact, that who knows the total ways that they do it. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things that I think it's pretty open to really understand what they're doing and how they're doing things. And so again, if I'm gonna look down the chat a little bit, there are some interesting conversations, and I wish I can go back and read how they begun. But at the end of the day, if you're on YouTube, you get to see some of this stuff, and there's some people that are really, really, really talking about some great stuff into our chat. All right, so dreams time. Have any of you have been contacted or felt that you've been contacted by extraterrestrials? And then, of course, if Marie was here, we will be implementing, is this happening on more of a paranormal side? And then let's talk about that too. Where is the limit drawn from this becoming paranormal to the other side of things when it get to that? But does that still really allow them? And you know what? I never asked this question, but do the extraterrestrials think they have permission to abduct you at will and what you want? We're going to get to that question back in a few minutes and why they're doing this. But back to the dream side, again, and it's all tying in for me for the abduction side, is if they have the capabilities, the extraterrestrials, to just walk into my wall, walk into my presence, or come into my vibration that I can see, feel, and touch, or at some point come into my consciousness, what's the need to abduct me physically, and is this a whole different race that's doing this? And if that's the case, now we might see all these grays, we might see all of this, and it goes back to a book I have right here on my desk. The guy said there's over 80 species, and if there is 80 species, are we the lowest one on the totem pole? Is everybody have more technology, more knowledge, more, just the sense of what's happening in the universe, the galactic, more than humans? Or are we the bottom species? And if that's the case, can we do anything about it from there? And so, all right, so Nicole says she had a dream I was fighting off a demon, but Erie looked like a gray alien. It was weird. Just 2 nights ago, I had a dream myself that it was something on my back, and I actually felt it. It was like it was grabbing me and just going and going, and I was biting this thing. But here's the deal. In this particular dream, and I'm not joking, I wasn't afraid. I was conscious enough to know I was dreaming, not only to know it was a dream, that I'm fighting something in the dream world, but I actually began to fight it and saying, hey, no, this is not happening here. And I did try and I remember distinctively tried to, call out to Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. And it's almost to say, it was like, that don't really work. But I tried it because it's like I knew I was having these trials within this dream, and it was about as real as it got. I'm talking this, it was, and then actually I was like biting at it, like, come on, man, you gonna have to get off me, blah, blah, blah. And I gave it a fight that it was like, shit, let me leave you alone. Or some point, I don't know, I don't think I woke up, but this was a long dream, and I actually had this experience. And no, look, she's talking, oh my God, you biting them. Yeah, I mean, I literally remember it. It was like paper. It was like a foam taste, and that exactly, I was going at it for real. And I'm not joking. It was really extraordinary drink, and it was just clean as day. And I woke up the next morning and I was like, wow, that was the real deal. And actually, it was probably during the night when I woke up, because sometimes you just wake yourself up, hey, just a dream. I'm going to do that. And so someone else said, yeah, that's how it was for me. It was like I took control and fought it off, and I was yelling at it. See, man, Nicole, all right, see, there's someone else right now saying it, the same thing. And so that makes it very interesting that it's happening, and it's not just me. But again, I'm just telling y'all a true story. It was really phenomenal to know, but I was more in a state of mind knowing that this was a dream. I knew I was in another place, and that this was really happening, and I knew it was happening, and it wasn't a fear. I was like, hell no, shit no, come on with it. This is not, get off of me. And get off of me. And I'm still struggling. And some people call it sleep paralysis, at the same time. But I was knowing I was more into it. So that was interesting. So now that wasn't an abduction, because I'm laying in my bed. I was not walking anywhere, like we're hearing about what's going on with this abduction program that this guy's saying. And he's saying that, again, that these UFOs are extraterrestrials or abducting people. And then at the same time, pretty much are saying that, someone else is saying they only had 2 lucid dreams in my life, and they were both an alien attack, which is odd because I don't view them as a threat. All right, so that's fine, JH. And he said he doesn't view him a threat. And that's one of the reasons that I don't get into a lot of dialogue about this, because it's not that this doesn't happen. And I don't want anybody telling you, oh, this is not a threat, or maybe it's a positive experience. It wasn't a positive experience totally for me, and it may not be for you or someone else, and it may be for other people. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, and I'm not trying to figure out what it was either. I'm not trying to figure out if they was trying to contact me or trying to give me a message, because the message wasn't there. Write the shit on some paper, scribble it on my wall. Let me wake up in the morning, it's edged up there, or shit, leave a thing in my banking account that I can't believe. There's plenty of ways to send me a message than messing with me in my sleep and jumping on my back and all of those things. And so I can't say it was a threat, but it wasn't the best feeling to be saying, hey, I come in peace in your dream and hopping on your back. And what would have happened if I didn't fight, right? Or whatever. So I wasn't down with the program. And yes, it all goes down with the sleep paralysis. And I'm sure there's a lot of people listening in Clubhouse, people right here on this live stream, have experienced some form of sleep paralysis and some form of feelings that something is agitating, bothering you, tackling with you while you're asleep, and it didn't feel like a normal dream. And if it wasn't, I want to hear it. Hit me in the chat right here. Let me know if I know Nicole said it happened with her. I'm here. Anyone else want to stand corrected and say that was going on? Renee says, as I post her comment, they were looking down at me, and then I opened my eyes and woke up. And all right, so now here's the deal. This is why this community is great. Aaron Campbell said, yep, me too. So again, this is something that's happening on a human level, and a lot of people won't talk about it. And then there's going to be people that are going to tell you, don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid. It's some type of such and such. For the hell with that. You know what I'm saying? And if that is something in there, then that's something. And I can't wait to talk to Maria about this on Thursday, because then that moves into the paranormal side of things. Or I can bring, Alan, if y'all know Alan Steinfeld, and they talk about consciousness and all the time. But, Alan might tell you, don't worry about it, because he views it differently. And of course, he's written books, and definitely check out his book, Making Contact, The New Realities of Extraterrestrial Existence, and it's a great book. And so he has a different viewpoint when it comes down to it, and he don't actually go into that part about sleep paralysis and dreams and stuff, but he is saying that the time is coming. And so I got a couple of his books right here, matter of fact, but it's right here behind me on my shelf. But anyone else out there, anyone else experienced the sleep paralysis, the dreams, or the whole point? And then we're going to get back into this abduction side. So if you just jumped on with us from Clubhouse, if you just came on with us from YouTube, our primary story is that there is a professor, and the professor's name is David Jacobs, Dr. David Jacobs, and he's author of several books. He's a professor of ufology. Actually, he's of history in, I think it's in Temple University. That's in Pennsylvania. But he specializes in ufology. And I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to reach out and see if we can get him part of the show to interview. And I'm sure he would love to talk about it. And always. But another part is I want to ask any of you if you have seen the TV show on Discovery Plus, which I'm one of the hosts. It's called Alien Endgame. I definitely would love for you to jump on there. Watch it. Let me know what you think. I'm one of the TV show hosts there. It's now airing on Discovery Plus. It just started airing about a week ago, week and a half, 2 weeks. And then also Billy Carson's Black Knight documentary. I don't know if any of you have seen it yet. If you have, post in the comments too. Beyond the Signal. The Signal is the name of it. The Black Knight Satellite. Dimmick Church, Freddie Silver. I'm in it. There's a lot of people in this documentary. And I think it's well put together. And this guy goes beyond the Signal. Billy Carson is probably one of the smartest people out there I know. And therefore, he really goes deep into this documentary, and it's nothing to play with. It's just really well put together. And of course, I'm in that show as well. And so definitely want you to check it out as things are growing, around me, and plus in ufology. And then in a few months, you're going to see me on Gaia on Open Minds. And then you'll also see me on Gaia with George Norrie's Beyond Belief show as well. And expect me to do a few shows on Coast to Coast pretty soon. And then starting Fridays, I will be hosting a radio show on the UNX Paranormal radio station from 7 to 9. And then from 9 to 11, instead of 8 o'clock, we'll be live streaming here from YouTube. So that'll be a long work day on Fridays, at least 4 or 5 hours just streaming. And if anybody's done this for a while, it does get pretty tricky to sit here and just talk for a few hours, but doing that. Also, another announcement, I only got 1 or 2 takers so far. If you want to be part of our panel, and this is the YouTube panel, so that you can come up on screen, and we're going to all coincide on some of the questions and things that I'm going to pose that's happening in our space of ufology, and just to get some reactions from all of us and what we think. I'm going to put together that. Hopefully by next week, I'll have enough of you. And then at that point, those who can commit to it on whatever days that we decide, we'll do our panel days as well. So definitely want you to be a part of that. Okay, so let's bag up in a minute. I didn't get but a couple of people who said, besides Aaron and Nicole and myself, who said that they are, thank you, Nicole. I know you'll be a part of the panel. And I really appreciate you doing that as well. And I'm glad that you have already said you're going to be one of the ones. So that's good to know. And I respect you putting your time into this well. So, is anyone else out there that have this experience before we go back into the abductions? Because there's another thing that we're going to talk about that this professor talks about, which is I think is kind of something that we have to look into, because he's stating more and more that these extraterrestrials are just like, again, they're walking among us, they're around us, they're sitting here just as plain as day. As you go to the grocery store, they're there. And there's been plenty of videos surface on YouTube. There have been plenty of things where you see people where they shape shifting or they reptilian eyes or something up to the accept that, hey, that there'll probably be extraterrestrials. And then we had shows that we went into the Rh negative bloodline or the royal bloodline, which some scientists and doctors claim to be of extraterrestrial origin because they have no way of finding where it comes from. So it must be extraterrestrial. So technically anything we can't identify could be extraterrestrial, but in this case, it's DNA based, and so they're just saying. And we had a lot of people in the past, and that's on a podcast as well. So if you definitely want to have an opportunity to do that, go back into some of our previous stuff. You can find it on Spreaker. You can find it on iTunes, iHeart. You can find it on Spotify. That podcast is in 59 different countries. But we talk about that Rh negative blood, and that is something enough to really be thinking of all of this. So let's tie some stuff in together right now as a collective group. So the stories are coming out that there are abductions. Stories are coming out that women are being unaccounted for pregnancies. And let me give you guys some concrete with this. This is not stories that's being made up. So if you're listening to us on Clubhouse or you talking about YouTube and you're saying, Roderick, where this shit is coming from, Google the government documents that have been that's been released from some of these past ASAP programs and all of these other programs. They have now admitted that they have, tested. Now, I can't use the word tested, but they got reports of things of women that's being pregnant about extraterrestrials. So we got these encounters that even the Navy pilots and all these people who said they have had encounters. Y'all remember this, that they had encounters, that they was having some type of brain damage and all of that. And just yesterday, which was unaccounted, was David, one of our listeners, and his report was he had some internal body feelings and things that was bothering his mind of in that instance that, he went home and just wasn't feeling well after that encounter with that orb. Now that coincides with exactly what the reports that we were getting on the government side, but yet he didn't go to a government. He didn't go to the hospital of one of our agencies and report it. He dealt with this by himself. And it affected him in a lot of ways between him and his family. But now this report coming out a week or so ago, a couple of months, I'm sorry, but it's now saying it. So once again, we got abductions, we got brain damage, we're getting loss of time. And he kind of alluded to that just a little bit. And then we have unaccounted for pregnancies, all right? And so you connect all those dots back to the Betty Border Hills and Travis Waltons and all of those stories. At what point do we then begin to say to ourselves, why the big secret? Because it's happening. Why the big secret? Why? Okay, same thing I said. And if you don't think all of this is going on, then it is. And the documents are showing every day. In fact, on another level, Jeremy Corbell, he had a report recently that military encounters are happening almost every day. But yet Congress in the UAP world is saying we just got to investigate it, or we got these little items that we've seen that they showed us. And so I'm saying to everybody within our community, what is really happening? Because this is, and I'm not saying it to fear. No, it's more anger now, because it's like we're either children, or it goes back to the Jack Nicholson thing. You can't handle the truth. And maybe we can't. And maybe some people can't. It goes back to why the big secret, the whole name, which was inspired by Will Smith when he sat on that table of his movie, Men in Black. And when he asked Tommy Lee, which was Agent K at the time in the movie, and he says, why the big secret? People are smart. Why not tell them that aliens and stuff is here? And the answer that he gave him was that, no, people are dumb, stupid, and sporadic and, crazy folks. He said, now a person can handle it, but people can. And at the time, I didn't understand significantly what he meant, but I get it now. One person at a time, an individual can grow, but you cannot drop this into a crowd of people and expect for that entire crowd to just look up and say, oh, really? That's a UFO? Oh, that's a UAP. That's not it. So people, help me, engage with me. If you can, if you're on Clubhouse, hop over here to YouTube and engage with me in the chat like some of the other people are here. And the question is, and like I'm asking you all, what is it with this? And are you wondering why we're hearing about all this more and more? And why are people getting more courage to come forward? And some of these people are holding back. Now, I thank people for this. I thank this professor for, I thank him for coming forward, saying his stories. But this guy's pretty deep. And again, it's Dr. David Jacobs, professor of history at Temple University. And he just saying that aliens, once again, a headline of him, and I quote, okay, alien hybrids walk among us. They're also abducting humans, utilizing mind control powers to prepare for a mass takeover, apparently. Now, that last part, we just have to leave to speculation, because again, if they wanted to do it and take over humans, they could have done that when we had our bayonets and bow and arrows and before we had nuclear weapons and fighting back with, machetes and guns and all of that. Now, all right, that still asks the question, what happened to the Mayans? What happened to all those other people? What I'm saying? What happened to ancient civilizations? Where did they go? Did they take them all? Did they abduct all of them and say, you know what? We need to go colonize somewhere else. You guys got to come with us, because we don't have the power to do that. I'm not really for sure. And so those are the questions that you would ask yourself. And I know some of you are watching me now, Roderick. You are really going over the deep end, pushing a narrative, and I ain't pushing any narrative. I'm not pushing a narrative of fear. I'm pushing the narratives of information and questions and curiosity, because you cannot deny, if you are a proponent of the extraterrestrials and saying you're a friend of them, and the friend is saying that, hey, these guys come in peace and walk among us to do nothing, but say that to the person who's being abducted. Say that to the person who saw these orbs and being affected. Say that to people who are coming back with these stories that, this is something happening, and say it to the women who are coming back pregnant from these extraterrestrials, and nobody's really believing the story, and these children of these extraterrestrials, apparently. And if y'all remember, there was a woman said that one of her kids, and she was on the Clubhouse app, that was taken to a spaceship because it would not pass for human here on Earth. And so one of the things is someone saying, Raven said, it's a narrative of reality, and it's not all love and light. Let me give you a kudos. If I can give you a super chat for that, I would, but that's fine. It's right, and it is reality, and that's exactly what I'm trying to say in most cases, that it has become reality. This is happening. It's real. And this is why you always hear me open the show and end the show with my tagline that's going to be on some T-shirts. I've been getting a trademark done, and it's going to say some things like, your eyes are useless, okay, when your mind is blind. So what I'm saying to you is, I don't give a damn what you see. You ain't going to fathom it, believe it, or comprehend it if you ain't got an open mind to the possibility that something is bigger happening in our world than what we do on a daily basis. Go to work, get up, come home, and kiss the cat, or whatever we do. But if you open that mind, the consciousness expand, and all those things, and all of the possibilities that you can see that happens, and then when you do look up on one of these things, then you're going to see it totally different, and it's going to affect you different, and hopefully not in a harmful manner, but a cautionary tale to say, nah, I'm not going over there. boy, that's a bright ass light. Oh no. And not the other part of poltergeist, walk into the light, walk into the, or the dumb stuff that we see some of the movies and, run in the opposite direction, and we see the jokes and stuff and, and running from the Halloween dude and you run into the barn with all the weapons. You seen the commercial, right? All the tools, and instead of going into the parked car with the keys in it. So the whole thing is we have to then understand that it is something happening bigger and everything else. So if I had a poll, and I know there's some people out there, do you think, now I guess how can I phrase the question? And it is for those of you, how many of you out there feel that these abductions have no threat to them? In other words, they're just a kind, but benevolent thing that's happening, and they just curious and they just want to poke around on your ass just to see what you feel like. How many of you feel that this is all that they're doing and there's no intention behind it? In fact, you will sign up for the alien poke day. I'm just saying, how many of you feel that way? Seriously, please chat, put it in this YouTube chat. Any of you, I don't need but just one, because I just want to know if anyone think that that's fine. It's good, Yeah, I think it's a spectrum. There was a movie out there called, what is it, Spectrum is a movie where it shows some things in another dimension that they develop or anything like that. All right, so we have someone in the audience here in the chat says, in his case, it was non-threatening. That's okay. Jamie, still that's fine. And I'm glad you brought it up in your case. And I'm glad you said in a more personal fashion, for you, it was non-threatening. And you didn't use a global thing of saying, oh, I think they're all or in benevolence approach. And that's a positive things from there. And Nicole says, and I really appreciate y'all participating because it helped me move along with some of the notes that I have in this conversation from there. And Nicole says it's a scientific study like we do our animals. You goddamn right. Especially on this cattle mutilation and stuff that they do. And pretty much, oh man, the things that come in, and I appreciate it. Raven says, I feel validated, and the military involvement is real too. They work together. Well, I think they do. I think that some of the technology and everything is fine, and they are sharing some of the technology, and they may have some kind of agreement that people say from our previous president back in the day that they gave them permission to be able to take and do and whatever they wanted to do with us. That was one of those things. JJ say various life forms have interpret a threat. Definitely. All right. We're getting somewhere, and when I'm saying that, we're getting somewhere because one of those things is something that we are doing, and so I'm just pretty, excited about all of that and what is happening. And let me take the word excitement back. I'm not excited that it is happening. Hell no. It makes me just wonder, and so. Someone else says something. Let me read this here. He. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. So Shade, I don't know if it's, how to pronounce it, but so what if they keep doing the same thing and fail, but aren't able to change their ways? Well, welcome to insanity, right? That's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And there got to be some crazy aliens out there, right? And if they are abducting us, trying to figure it out. And I hope they would have just figured it out. But, and he's also saying hive mentality. We have someone say they begin to remember our multidimensional nature, our parallel lives, and our connections we share with other beings become clear and don't have perspective or reason to fear. And that is expansion catalyst. But the whole point I'm saying is that's my point. And we have to look at everything individually, I would say, because I don't think at the end of the day that, just like the other people are saying, hey, in his place, he felt that it was non-threatening. And then, like I say, tell it to the other people and the guy that was here yesterday, David, and how he felt, and I'm sure everybody else is going to have a individual thought on it. And of course, we all know the Betty and Barney Hill story, the Travis Walton, and there's countless others of abduction stories in our history that at one point of time was deemed speculative, and people were crazy and off their rockers, and did it really happen? Until now, like I said, the documents are surfacing, and we're not talking story documents. We're talking coveted military government documents, studies, case studies that they have been doing private in the private sector that are showing some of these things from there. And that's one of the things I have to say. But again, we go back to it as I show one of these images again. This is happening, and it's happening very frequently that people are being abducted, and this is no joke. And so I don't care how we slice it. And I asked already, would you decide that that's something you would do or want to do? That's one of the things I just don't think it is something that I would want to participate in freely, so to speak, or, just, even in a conscious thought. I'm not sending that shit out there. I don't want them to even feel the fact that in my conscious mind that this is something I want to participate with. And I know we all just want that touch out there, but at the end of the day, that's not something that I would do. So, all right, as we talked about that for a minute, and as we start connecting the dots, all right, we connect the dots that we still have a section of people like myself who is a UFO investigator, where we will investigate facts and things of some sighting. So I really don't know how to compile all that together to now still claim the fact of being a UFO and UAP investigator, because the phenomenon is now apparently official. And so therefore, we just need to know what we see and whatever it is that's being shown or been sent to us to do. So that's one of the things that we have to look at. But again, when you get down to the other side of the fence, and you're talking a parallel ghost, and you're talking about abductions and the dreams and the consciousness, and people saying, hey, I've been contacted in my dream, I've seen them, or I've been taken to their mothership. You got the cattle mutilations, and again, you have hybrid babies, and now you got people again with radiation burns, you got loss of time, you have these pregnancies, you have military technology, you have them living in our waters, you have, and the list just keep going on and on, coming from space, and now they interdimensional, they're here already, we just can't see them, and and I'm just adding to conversations, right? And so where is the medium point? What do we call all of this? If it was all had to be wrapped up in a ball or bag or placed somewhere, what do we call it? We ain't calling it ufology. Damn sure ain't for to call it higher consciousness, because no, that ain't it. I'm not calling it lower consciousness. I'm not trying to put it into a state. What do we call it, so that there's something that we have to do from there? So in the chat is going off as well. And I would love to read some of these chats, but I like to read them before I read them, and just know what we're doing. So again, if you have not, there's some great chats going on here on YouTube about what's happening there. And so definitely check it out. If you're in Clubhouse, like I said, hop on in and jump into the story. So if you just got in with us, the headline story is that Professor Jacobs, professor of history from Temple University in Pennsylvania, specializing in ufology, is saying that humans are being abducted by aliens, and this is happening. They're walking among us, and he's saying he has proof. He's done it. He's seen it. He's been on our spaceships now. He's seen these hybrid-looking humans, almost calling them superhumans, and he's saying that they are preparing for some type of takeover because they're practicing mind control, all of these things. Now, we've heard this before. This guy's not just saying something out of the cuffs. We've heard this over and over and over, which take me over to the false flag stories that you hear Dr. Stephen Greer talks about. I did a video on the last part of that triangle that someone else was seeing. And if you was here earlier, and I'll bring up the photo again, the first entry story that we started tonight was about people are seeing more and more of these triangles, or we call them spy crafts possibly. But what was distinctively standing out, and I'm connecting all this together, is that the triangle now, that the last picture that showed up, had an orange orb in the middle. In the past, we would hear that it'd be transparent and it had the 3 lights. This one had an orange orb in the middle, in which tells me if they was to hit a switch and turn off the 3 lights, and if you saw that flying around in the middle of the night, somebody will mistake it for being what we do know that these Navy ships are seeing, fireballs, orbs, and that David reported. So it's almost like they're trying to emulate those same things, and it's all coming forward. And then we got NASA, who now saying we're in the game. We're now trying to investigate UFOs, and we got the government Congress hearings. And what I'm saying is the whole landscape has changed. Now, I've always gave y'all my philosophy that because we're entering into what I consider a new space economy, which if you was with Morgan Stanley or any of those, if you went to their website some months ago, they was telling all of their investors investigating these top areas of space products, space hotels that they're developing right now, new space tourism, all of this is the new money, going into space. And so I started thinking, why the big secret? I started going a little deeper and saying, okay, even if we are moving into the space economy, what the hell does that has to do with the extraterrestrials, the UFOs, and all of those things? And that's when I started going, wait a minute. Well, we see that they're sending people up in spacecrafts and, Blue Moon or Blue Ocean and all of the, Branson and all of them and Jeff Bezos. Now they stopped showing it on TV. They're doing it so frequently now. But if you notice, that damn rocket was going to space in 4 or 5 minutes. It was up there, okay? That's faster than any of us in Dallas can get from one end of Dallas, okay, to another end of Dallas, which probably takes every freaking bit of 45 minutes if I'm on the North Dallas to South Dallas, okay? We're talking Dallas. They're going in space in a minute. And the thing's got windows. And Jeff Bezos of Amazon, who you better believe whatever the hell comes out of his mouth, if he says, we're going to move industry to space, and this is what this guy said, and if I take you back to some of his stories, if you don't remember, look it up. Jeff Bezos said, okay, he said that on his valedictorian speech. Now, this guy is a teenager, looks into the microphone and says, meet me in space. People laughed. They got this little clip. You got to find it. Dig hard, but you'll find it. But here's the deal. Did he know something? Was he a time traveler? That'd be another conversation we're going to have. But where I'm going back to this is that he's saying that industry today is moving to space. And Elon Musk says the same thing. Elon Musk is saying that he thinks we should be an interplanetary species. We need to get off the freaking planet before it's too late. All of these things. And where I'm going with this is that our children are going to have the possibility of going to work like a regular commute and look out the window, and they're going to see extraterrestrials. They're going to see spacecrafts. They're going to see all these things that NASA and all these are seeing on a repeated basis. And the conditioning is starting now. You got to get people prepared for it, because otherwise who's going to go to freaking work up there? It's like that movie that came out recently that was called Tomorrow's War. Do y'all remember that? And that was a great movie, by the way. And the movie was so crazy, but there was one scene that when they was getting ready to prepare the people to go fight the aliens up there, or the animals or whatever it was, and the lady says, why y'all don't have a picture or something showing what they look like? And the lady said, consensus says, if we show you what you're going to walk yourself into, we know we will have a problem filling this hangar. So could it be possible that they know, if people know that right now, if you're going to go to work, you're going to run into some extraterrestrials, and all of them may not be friendly, and some of them could be, may not be? Who would want to go to work in space knowing the possibility? That could be, and they could have took a consensus, the same thing that happened back in 1950s, okay, when all this began with the Brookings Institution by NASA. Brookings did NASA commissioned them to do a sanctioned study on humans, and the thing they came back and said, humans cannot be told about extraterrestrials. This is when the big secret keepers begin the process. The Brookings report, you can look it up. It's on page 268. Google the Brookings report and get down to 268. You're going to read it, and it says that we cannot let them know. And then they also said in the same report that the most affected society of revelation of extraterrestrial life will be our scientific community. And that pondered me for a while. It really did, until I started figuring out why they said this. And the reason they said this is because, as you know, scientists are scientists. They believe in what I would call the hypothesis that moves into the theories and not anomalies, because anomalies don't tell them nothing, which is what these UFOs are. They have to test it over and over again and say, once we do this over and over and over, this is that now. This is how it works for them. Since there's no consistency and things that they're not able to test out there because of the cover-ups, the scientists can't get behind it. But more scientists, one by one, is now getting on point. And so what I'm saying is all of this big turn. So if our children is going to be in space pretty soon, going to work, doing everything, then it's up to you as parents too. And this is why you always heard me talk about Project STARS that I'm working on, and it's an acronym, okay? And the acronym for STARS is using stargazing to start real life space conversations. Because I believe that you don't have to tell your kids to be astronauts, but you damn sure better get them a telescope or something and put that shit out there in the yard and just awaken their curiosity. And you hope one day that your kid looks over to you and asks the question. And the question is going to be, Mama, we're alone. Is there something else out there? And let the drums roll, because you have a moment of time to condition them to be ready for what is coming, or you're going to put the fear and they're going to be starstruck when the rest of the people are moving toward reality that we're no longer in this universe. They're conditioning us for these things, and you don't want the fear base in the other part of culture and lens of some of our religion that I come out of that's going to tell them, hey, you know what? We're not alone. So put all that together. Let's put all that together. The space economy, the money, they're saying this. Put it all together that abductions are happening, and they're reporting it. Put it all together that our government is now having an official office. Put all together that there was a statement yesterday that NASA said they're in on the game, and we know that. But then now there are reports that they already knew about this. So why are they now announcing we in on it too? Do they don't want to look like they're being left behind, or they just want part of the purse because the Congress is voting billions and millions of dollars on this thing? You know, when it all came out, there was a lot of believers out there that kept saying, Roderick, it's Russia, it's China. That's all it is. It's not UFOs. Russia just yesterday, reported, hell no, our pilots are seeing unidentified aerial phenomena too, and we need to investigate it. Now, this is one of the first time that Putin and his head of science guy or whatever is really coming forward, but they're now saying this out loud that, okay, this is what's happening, and that something is going on. So now that points the finger back that we can't now go with the theory of saying, oh, it's some foreign objects. Because like I said again yesterday in the last live stream yesterday, that there's not a country out there who would have the power to have technology that can outrun our pilots, that can outrun those things and not use it and not flex the muscle. That's crazy. You know, hypocrisy. I mean, it's like, come on, they only go so far. Are you thinking, you know, Russia or any of these countries right now out there that can have something that can fly from coast to coast in 0.2 milliseconds and outrun the wind and go faster than light, can go into the water, the air, the space, all what we call transmedium technology, and they ain't going to flex that? Come on. Are you kidding me? So let's get real and understand that the phenomenon is real, and we can do this. So again, we have Russia saying what they're saying, our military doing what they're doing, our government is saying what they're saying. And we have people here saying NASA is lies and they're there to deceive us. That's probably there. Someone noted here about Operation High Jump was one of their many operations. Yes, it was. Abno Bird. They knew a long time ago when that happened. So let's connect all of these dots and understand that there's something big that's coming together. And whether it's fear or whether it's not, the facts remain is we are not alone. You heard me said it. Finally, that's fine. I know you've been waiting for that. We're not alone in this universe. And I truly believe that. Okay, so what? Have I seen? Okay, I saw a UFO when I was 12. And that may be the motivation that I have today is becoming an expert in this particular phenomenon. And in my journey that where I'm going with this and talking about that just possibly could be the entire driving force behind what I do. But in that time, I didn't see it. But again, let me take you right back to the headline. We've been abducted. The headline, they walk among us. The headline is that he been there. He saw it. There was some, superhuman type stuff that he was looking at. And that is just not the beginning. Go back to 2-3 weeks, a month ago when it was leaked, radiation burn, pregnancies, in the military encounters, people getting abducted. Man, is there any more that we need? And it's why I bring it all the way back to what I was just saying about space economy, our children, and all you want is your kid to ask you if you get that telescope or we're alone in the universe, and you got to give them the curiosity. Now, I ain't saying change religion and all, baby, they're angels or demons. Just get them to get curious because it's tomorrow where they're going to be our new leaders and everything else. And this is why you see the changes now, because back in the 60s and the 40s, the good old boy network at this time with this thing, and you got to believe this, I don't care if you were white or black, you were cuckoo if you talked about UFOs. Now, some of these younger people are now our new congressmen. Some of these younger people are now the new senators, and they're asking the freaking questions. They're wanting the answers. They are controlling the pocketbook in some cases, and they're trying to get the answers for us. And so probably 15 years from now, we'll have one of your children or somebody in the audience who will now be tomorrow's leader, and therefore there'll be a truth seeker. Y'all remember our theme song. And there will be tomorrow's leaders, and that's going to be what's going to perpetuate what's happening, and more answers are going to be discovered. And so, but then our military is more powerful than our government, as we can see in some cases. So they're just going to put this stuff in private sector, and nothing on the government win would do that. So once again, if you're listening to us in Clubhouse, please, you can click the link up above. You can come live into the live stream here on YouTube. The mission for that is just hit the like button. If you find that, that you find us value in this, and then if you want to super chat or be part of our Truth Seeker membership, there's a link in the bottom of the video. We thanking all our members, and plus the members, I got a surprise for you guys. Like I said, I'm gonna send you a link, an email to the members that's gonna be there. We don't have 7 right now. We got 7 Truth Seekers members, and so my goal is to have hundreds as we move down in. But you're going to get some special, some private videos that one guy in particular said I cannot post it live on YouTube, but I can let you guys see it in more of a private fashion. So I'm working on that, and maybe in a week or so you would get it. But again, that's something that I would do. Bob Marley, appreciate it. He said he liked this channel, so I appreciate you coming. My goal here, and I'm gonna continue our conversation, is I want to be the boldest, the baddest, the one that's out there giving you the information. I've been working on some systems, and I'm open for improvement. If it's something I can do different, some way y'all want some delivery, we're going to have more interviews, all of that. I'm not afraid of, corrective or not corrective, whatever they call it, active criticism in such a right way. And if it's for improvement for the community. So, I had someone that texted yesterday and said, hey, Roderick, I like it. You tell some of your stories, but man, when you get into the UFO stuff that is good, I just want you to go with it. So y'all saw today, I came in here, I ain't tell you about the rabbit that I ran over yesterday. Because, all right, I'm not going to tell you. And so I just went right into the stories because that's what you want. And if more people say they want something else, we're going to do that. So, but again, Bar Marley, I appreciate you for being here, and all of you for being here and everything else. And again, if you like the channel, please, we're going to have more experiencers here because I want people to come out. There was a great conversation with David yesterday, man, and boy, I wish he had the perfect camera because, man, this guy's story was so compelling. The live stream yesterday about his UFO and encounter with the fireball in Minnesota and how it made him feel. And as we touched the why the big secret, y'all heard me asking, why the big secret? Why did you didn't tell your wife and family? And man, what he replied to as a man was touching enough. And I'm not going to even get into it. I just want y'all to go back and watch it if you have not seen it. So anyway, all right. So the picture was painted now that there's a collective movement going behind the scenes on us. And if I'm saying anything of value, hit me again. Somebody hit me with a super chat or a sticker or something. And regardless, just I'm glad you're here. But the mission is set. The agenda or whatever the criteria that they're putting is set for us, okay? And the part of this is that obviously, I think personally, there's a conditioning time that is happening. That's my sentiment, okay? Because obviously, what was not common, like I was getting ready to say back in the 50s and 60s, where they used ufologists, and in fact, the word ufology, and let me give you a history that who knew, is ufology at the time was considered a code word, okay? That the government gave people in the mainstream to identify all the people that were investigating UFOs to give them a label of being nuts. Okay, true story. Linda Moulton Howe will tell you this because if you reference her as a ufologist, she don't want to hear that shit. She'll be like, no, that was a negative term. But Stanton Freeman, and God bless his soul, was the godfather information, said embrace the terminology. He said, embrace it. We will embrace being ufologists. We will embrace becoming ufology. But back in the day, it was a military term when you were among in the crowd, they'll say, well, Roderick, he's in ufology. And that was their code word to someone else to say, this dude's crazy. So they spent the last 60 years having us spread this thing to tell you, the public, the government is lying. The big secret keepers are not telling us anything. The big secret keepers are pulling the wool over your eyes. And we was part of that. We are shouting it at the top of our voices. We're trying to come up with all this paperwork and giving you all this cynical reasons. And we're doing this. And we was part of this thing perpetuating the big lie on the other side of the fence. Then they got really smart recently. They turned the freaking tables. So that's just when we got all of y'all convinced to not believe them, the boy crying wolf, we got you to a point where don't believe the government, don't believe the hype. Now they come out and start trying to tell the truth, and you're so conditioned by us, you're going, I don't believe they ass. We see UFOs. And now you're saying, no, we don't believe them because we done this, and they know it. They know it. So now we have even more problems coming out with the truth, telling you the truth is true, and for you to now believe it. And we're still getting people even seeing some of the facts right before them, because that's totally my goal, is to give you information that you can read, something that you can see, something that you can hear, interpret, to just awaken your curiosity. That's all I want to do. I don't want to convince you. I just want to awaken your curiosity to the possibility that we're not alone in this universe, and then you take it to the next level. But they're preventing that because they've done a good job of having us to prove to you that they lie all the time. And now when we come out and say, and when they come up and say, oh yeah, we want y'all money and we're going to vote to open up a UFO office because we believe it's something out there and it's worth exploring. And now we're saying, no, don't take our money because y'all know it ain't shit out there. Y'all been telling us since that. And it's like a reverse little thing, right? Mind thing. I don't know what it is, but you guys are good. They're really good. And I think at the end of the day, it's something that we, the people, the truth seekers, that's part of my community that we're building, the community here that's going to get big. We're going to do a lot of things. We're going to put some pressure in some places. We're going to put some money in some places to get answers. That's the whole goal of building this community. So again, subscribe to the channel. Share some of these videos. Smash that freaking like button. And like I say, not everybody may have $5 a month. You may not be saying I ain't even worth $5. But again, I just thank you being here and sharing, and like button is enough. And there will be people who say, Roderick, I'm going to support you. I'm going to support what you're doing. And I'm harping it, not that it's a church and I'm a preacher, a pastor, or saying taking tithes or anything of the sort. You know, we got to monetize our message. We can't say shit if it ain't nothing behind it. And I can be here all day and saying, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to march down there by myself, or we're going to send a note here. That's not happening, you know. But I do see if they're raising money one way, we'll raise it as a community another way and support what we do. So we painted the picture. So if you just been here with us, we have black satellite, black triangle that's popping up in California that have now actually changed its look. Like I said before, those black triangles were used to be transparent inside, meaning people can see through the middle. Now we're getting pictures of new ones with orange orb looking things in the center. Still got the 3 lights, as though this thing is multi-purpose of displaying some type of image that we want to look. We always talked about, we didn't do it tonight, but holographic technology in the future, false flag operations. All of this stuff is to keep us off the hunt. So don't get me wrong, if they can keep us speculating about what is happening, that is their agenda. That is totally simple to what they want to do. But back into this is this. So we got the triangles, they're surfacing. More and more reports are coming out about these fireballs. So why not now unleash the new type of triangle to eliminate the speculation and fly it slow enough where people can see it and know that it's not a real UFO, that it's a spy plane, just to kill the other side of these fireballs and orbs that are true that these Navy is reporting. Because remember, the Navy recently reported a 40-foot one, okay? So, all right, that's not a UAP. That's something else? Maybe not. It's a orange orb, okay? In the movie, the Alien Endgame that I'm a host in, that's now on the Discovery Channel right now, that started airing about a week or two ago. One of the stories in there was when the UFOs came over our nuclear base and one of the Maelstrom nuclear facilities, turned off the nuclear weapon, but it was a huge orange orb, and it terrified the guy. Look at it. He goes into hypnosis. Now he's in hypnosis, regression, and he's telling the story. And you ain't lying under that thing. Believe that. So definitely watch it and get it. So as I come and bring it back in full circle, abductions are up. People are being pregnant. Our government is now opening offices. Other countries are now saying it's not theirs. Other, we have NASA, who of all people saying, oh yeah, we're going to explore the opportunity now that there's something else out there. We have more reports. If you look into the MUFON, where I come from, last month, the most reports was coming out of water. Okay. So I'm giving you all of these different pieces. And the top 3 states for that was Florida, California, and Michigan, out of all places, okay? And we know that Earth is 73% water, and mankind has only explored 3%. So how can we deny the fact that something else is down there and we can't even get there and see it anyway? So we're going to sit there and say ain't nothing there. And don't even let me go into the stories of shit that's washing up on the beaches that look non-human, that could be testing things that's down in the bottom of this ocean that's floating up, getting caught up by the waves. We're seeing that all the time. And there was one that surfaced a while back that was so real. Then there was another one that you can kind of see the strings, this little mermaid boy, and you can see they was playing with that one. But there was some other crazy looking stuff coming up on our seabeds that was in aquatic type creatures that wasn't walking our planet. So again, what do we do? And then Thursday, we got Marie Jackson, and she's a true ghost hunter. And we're trying to put the connection between the two together. This is huge, but you're going to only find this information, and we're going to go in this in Why the Big Secret. And that's why we here, because who really knows the true answers to all those questions? So I'll be damned if I'm going to walk and tell you, all right, Roderick, this is something that you don't have to worry about. Okay, Roderick, they come in peace, or all the other stuff. And I just think it was more, I don't know. I just think, again, it is something that we need to truly pay more close attention to, and everything else. And as I asked the question earlier, what would you do if you were going to had an option, and if they give you an option of being abducted, to be taken up there, poked around, and then all of a sudden you come back, if you're a woman, you pregnant. Now, your ass going to feel violated at that point, or is it going to be some conscious experience that you say, okay, they just came in peace? Tell that to the person who's pregnant, and they didn't ask for the baby and didn't ask for that, and they're now pregnant by these extraterrestrials. Now, what do we say? Now we're going to say, oh, walk into the light of all of this. And I'm just using this because that would be a threat alone. Because if that happened here and it happened by somebody out there, their ass is going to jail. And they're going to go to jail for a long time, okay? And they're not going to pass go. They're not going to collect $200. They're going to go straight to jail. But how do you take an extraterrestrial to jail? Do you believe it? What comes in that? No, that's not it. So that's all I'm saying. Connect the dots, people. Connect the dots that this phenomenon is big, okay? And we're going to go over this on a daily basis, right? I'm here Monday through Friday from now on, from 8 to 10 and eventually to 11. We got some interviews and stuff that's coming from that. And I think that it's something that we need as a community to continue to go down this path and asking why the big secret, why they're not telling us. And once again, think past the narrative. You got to think past the narrative, because if you don't, it's going to be a problem. And let me give you a quick example what I mean by thinking past the narrative. Let's go back with what we do know about Roswell, New Mexico. We all know in the history books that this was a crash, and it was actually two crashes. And the story has though that that they found alien debris, and this has been the forefront of some of our reverse engineering. And then there was some saying they recovered alien bodies, and then the story behind that, they were mechanical in nature, meaning they had a bio suit on that wasn't that seemed real on the outside, but in inside it was mechanical. And then that's connected to the false flag story that they're building these things like crazy now in our backyard here for some false flag incident. But anyway, so let's go with the narrative that there is something in recovered spacecraft in Area 51. So we think that's the secret. So we think we know the secret. We think we've been spreading that for years. And just because they're trying to say, well, we did recover a body. Oh, well, maybe we didn't recover a body. Then we think we know the secret. But if we begin to, opening our eyes because our mind is open, then it allows us to think, well, hell, what if it's bigger than that? What if the extraterrestrial, right before it died, because they did recover a body, gave us a cure to some of our most infinite things, cancer or something? Or maybe they told us how free energy worked, how the spacecraft actually worked, okay? Because this is bigger than the secret that you think we know, the fact that there was alien bodies. Because have none of us seen an extraterrestrial stop for gasoline. We just haven't seen it. We have not seen them stop for gasoline. So obviously they're not using $6 a gallon like the hell I just paid. I filled my tank up in my vehicle yesterday was $115. I like to get out and push that son of a bitch to the house. And I thought that would be the perfect weight loss program. Just push that home and save the gas. Just see everybody out there pushing. But where I'm going with this, you don't see the extraterrestrials stopping for gasoline. So obviously they have a technology of free energy. And if they told them right there, or we as our government discover it, and knowing that we now have vehicles and things that could ride without gasoline, then which gasoline and fuel is a global commodity, then there's a problem with them doing that because it's going to destroy globally. And I know there's a lot of you out there who says, well, they're going to tell us some secrets, extraterrestrial. If they are higher intelligence like we think they are, and most of you claim that they are, who deal with them in a conscious world, then they're smart enough to know they're not going to tell us that. They are not going to disturb our community by telling us there's some free gasoline and society breaks down as we know it. There's no more law and order. There's no more anything. So they're going to stay, okay, in the human good, let the oppressors go, and the people make the money, and everyone else. And I know y'all thinking, no, they wouldn't do that. Well, hell, why not? They're smart enough to tell everybody else what's going on. So I'm saying the big secret is there, and that's why I gave the example of Roswell, New Mexico, to say that it's something bigger, and the secrets are bigger, and we're going to have to explore that. Every time we start doing these shows, we bring in people on, we're going to get more sophisticated with our questions, and believe me, we don't need to go with, because there's some people I can bring on here that's going to give you some high technical terms, and that don't work for the masses. That works for the people who've been in this thing for 30, 40 years, who's tired of hearing the same stuff over and over, who says, okay, let's bring on this. I want to know about the ray guns, and I want to know about, blah, 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 blah. Renee says, shit, I'm going to push my truck too. I know. I'm not lying, man. I was about to I didn't even want to burn the gas. I was like, I'm only going to go down the street, and I'm going to push it over there. Now, if I'm going to go on a long drive, I'm going to drive. But if I got to go over here across, how you in the shopping center, you're going to go to the next store, I'm going to push that bad boy over here, or get some other people. Come in, can y'all push my truck over here? I'll help you push yours to save gas, So, but anyway, so we're not talking about the technology of the ray guns. We're not talking about all of this stuff, this higher, we've seen this proton beam that they can use. Fuck that. That ain't affecting my everyday life. We're talking about the basics of information, the stuff that's happening, and the serious shit that we got abductions and we got pregnancies and brain damages and radiation burns and all this stuff that can mess with you on a daily basis. And people want to put that to the side and say things like, oh, they're friendly. Okay, that's fine. They're friendly. And they know they're burning your head up. Oh, yeah. So that's okay. And not all of them are friendly. So we know that. So let's put this narrative together as we get ready to come to a close. And we're going to continue our conversations throughout the week as we go down the rabbit hole of why the big secret, because the whole point is finding out that it's it. Now, I got a message here. So Nick Larkin says that they're smart enough to disable our nukes without causing a scene, probably not on accident. And so, yes, they are definitely trying not to acutely disturb society, but they don't stop wars or crime. Man, you are the new hero of the day. Because I guarantee you there's some people in here that's on Clubhouse or they're anywhere, and they're going to tell you all of the most eloquent things about these extraterrestrials and the Zen that they have and how they're here, but they're not stopping the war, and they can't. Why? Why not? Why won't they intervene and stuff like that? So I'm not going to get into that shit, but Nick, you're right. They are smart enough to do some of these things, but they could do more. Why don't they do more? I don't know. We just have to look into it and really find out what's really happening with that. And that's just another decision that we will have to truly look into when those things are happening. And I think there's something that we really have to really consider when it comes down to what's happening with these extraterrestrials. So I hope we had a great conversation today, and I hope I gave you some information, some what we call infotainment enough to really decide. We're going to be here tomorrow again at 8 o'clock sharp. I'm going to be here tomorrow, and then Thursday, Maria will be back with me, and that is the Ghost Hunter. So we're going to cover some stories, and hopefully by the time next week, we got our a panel together and all of those things. And once again, as I show the graphics, if you're not here in Clubhouse, this is a list of our truth seekers. These are the members. We have 7 members: David, Fred, Vincent, Dorian, Nick, Nicole, Jay Muhammad, Brutus, Gabe, and shout out to the super chat people the super stickers. That is most appreciative because that affects some things in an interim right now. And so I'm really excited about that as well. And so all of these things are happy moments to conclude there. So we're going to get ready to give some final words of what we do. And I think it's important to truly understand some of the things that we're looking at. And so as I asked you before, and as I always end my podcast and YouTube channel, is that your eyes are useless when your mind is blind and it's time to think wide. And what do I mean by that? I mean that we're so close-minded when it comes down to this phenomenon that you're going to have been able to see the truth, but your mind is going to not let you comprehend the truth. And that's simply because of all the shade that people have put on this phenomenon, all the stories of the blockage, all the wrong information of how to interpret what's going on. And it's going to blind your eyes to where your mind is not going to prepare you for the real deal of the experience that's coming in our future for our children and things that needs to happen. So I declare that we should, as a collective group, come together and begin the process of just understanding what's happening with curiosity. I'm not asking you to jump the boat, the river, and all of those things and say, okay, Roderick, I am now getting on top of the roof like that movie in Independence Day and holding up your sign, talking about, they're here, they're opening up. No, I ain't say that shit. I'm saying at least go the other way when you see they opening up. At least go the other way when you see a little gray head pump out the back of a trash can and you think it looks all friendly. Go the other way. Okay, and you're not going to be scared. You're just going to know, that's a fucking alien, I'm going the other way, because you condition of the truth, but you're not in fear. You're just like, oh, shit, I'm not going in there. And that's just the basic stuff. But the whole point I'm saying is that we're in time in life, and that's something that we're going to do. And I just want us to all be prepared. I want us to be ready to begin the process again, to take the information for what it's worth and where it's going and how we're going to deal with it in a collective nature. And that's how I want to leave things. And I really appreciate all the support. We're going to be back here tomorrow. And we're going to be here from 8 to 10. And we might have some interviews. I'm setting up some people that may want to share their story. And if you got a story that you want to share, contact at whythebigsecret.com. Contact at whythebigsecret.com. And it's been a plum, pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege. I'm Roderick Martin. Appreciate your time tonight. And we are deuces.